Hey mate, I was wondering, should we use Gemini Lite and the Gemini Interactions API to build a little kind of voice messages bot on Telegram?
Using the Gemini Flash API and the Gemini Interactions API for a Telegram voice message bot is definitely possible. Flash is fast and efficient for this, and the API helps manage the conversational flow. Do you want help getting started with the technical setup?
Yeah.
To get started, you'll need 1. Telegram bot token. Create your bot using @botfather on Telegram. 2. Google AI Studio. Get an API key for the Gemini models. 3. Environment. A server, e.g. Python script, with libraries like Python Telegram bot to handle messages and the Google Generative AI SDK.
Yeah, that's awesome. But where could I run this Python bot? Could I use Google Cloud somehow?
Yes, you can absolutely run your bot on Google Cloud. You have a few great options. 1. Google Cloud Run. Perfect for this. It's a serverless platform, so it runs your code only when your bot receives a message. It's cost-effective, scales automatically, and integrates well with Python.
Well, that sounds fantastic. So let's do exactly that. And so basically what I did is I just used Gemini to sort of come up with, some product requirements, like a product requirements doc for kind of all the things that I want this bot to be able to do. And then I literally just went and told Antigravity to build this bot for me, including, kind of the instructions to deploy this to Google Cloud Run. And so we can see here, it kind of set up all our code. It also gave us kind of a full tutorial of how the things work. So we'll publish that to dev.to later. And then in the README, we also get kind of the full, Google Cloud Run instructions of how to set that up. So we'll need to use kind of the secret manager. We'll need to enable the build. We'll need to get like our Telegram bot token, our Gemini API key here, and then we just deploy this to Cloud Run. Important, we'll need to use kind of no CPU throttling because we're doing actually a couple things here. We're replying, immediately with the text, and then we're actually generating the speech kind of later on. So this is really cool. And then, once we have our deploy URL, we basically just need to upgrade. We just need to update our environment variable to have the webhook URL, and then it'll actually set that all up kind of automatically for us. So this is actually really, really neat. So, for the reasoning model, we're just using Gemini 3.1 Lite preview. Again, Lite is sort of the best trade-off in terms of, thinking capabilities and reasoning and really intelligence at a very high speed and low cost. So this is great for our Telegram bot here. And then we're using our text-to-speech model, which is just Gemini TTS in this case. And so we're giving it a specific audio prompt. So you heard it was kind of a warm, friendly, sort of South London accent. That was, sort of what I wanted here. And I also told it to have a bunch of different modes. So actually, by default, we have sort of this agent mode, but we can actually switch through kind of the different modes. And you can see we have the agent mode, we have the transcription mode, or we have the translation mode. And so, for example, if we switch into translation mode, by default, it's just translating everything to text. We can also change that. Aber wenn wir jetzt zum Beispiel auf Deutsch dann einfach eine Nachricht schicken, dann kann das der Bot dann einfach übersetzen für uns. And so now, we're in translate mode. So rather than the agent kind of responding, you will see now it will just translate my German yapping here into English, which is really neat. And then it'll also generate that.
If you now, for example, on Deutsch, then simply send a message, then can the bot then simply translate for us? If you now, for example...
Okay, yeah, that wasn't great. So maybe that's why you shouldn't use Flashlight. So maybe in that case use Gemini Flash instead. But still pretty decent for such a cheap trade-off, kind of cost and speed trade-off. So some trade-offs we're making here. But again, this is really neat. So I didn't write any of this this code. This was kind of fully written by Antigravity here. And we're just using the reasoning model. We're basically using, I believe, FFmpeg. So actually what we can do is like how does the voice message get to the Gemini API? Are we using FFmpeg? So, great here with Antigravity. Obviously, if we have a new code base, we can just ask questions about it. And so you can see kind of the voice message flow here. So Telegram actually sends an OGG kind of Opus thing. And then, you can see we're kind of getting this here. We're getting the voice file through the bot. Then we're kind of decoding it into just an, base 64 no input for input, no, so we don't need that for the input. So we're basically just going base 64 straight to the Gemini API. But then FFmpeg is used for the output because we're generating the speech. We're getting, I believe, raw PCM kind of back, and then we sort of need to convert that into the WAF. So we're going sort of PCM from the Gemini TTS into WAF into OGGP. Again, we didn't have to worry about this. We just used the Gemini API def skill. So we have a coding agent skill for the Interactions API, which is really, really useful here. So you can use that. And then again, we just said we want to deploy this on Google Cloud Run, so it actually set up kind of the whole Docker file for us, so we didn't have to worry about that. And then literally, it set up the README for us, where it just tells us to, how to do the Google Cloud Run deploy. So really, really neat. I'll link you the GitHub repository below. I recommend you check out the Interactions API. It's really, really useful here for building more kind of agentic coding sort of systems, and it has kind of access to everything that is available in the Gemini ecosystem, including kind of the deep research agent. So if you wanted to add that to your Telegram bot, Interactions API is your friend. So check it out. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if this is helpful for you. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.